Mala. So today I'm going to be talking about 3 ways on how to read a book effectively. It's split into 3 parts. First part is before reading. Second part is while you're reading a book, and the third part is after reading. So that's kind of like it's like a 3-step thing in order to fully make use of the book. And I know a lot of people these days don't really read a lot of books. I mean, for my circle of friends at least. And it's possibly because that they find it takes too much time. And yeah, I mean, the amount of information that you can probably get on just by Googling something or even watching a video. People tend to think that that would actually save them more time as opposed to reading a book. But the stuff that you read from a book tends to stick better than when you actually watch a video. Unless you're watching a video like, let's say, 100 times a day. That's a different story. So the first part, before reading. Before you read a book, you actually have to, I would say, have a goal for reading the book. You need to decide what you actually want from the book and specifically what kind of information that you wish to get from the book, and also how it might be applied to your life. Why is this? It's because we as humans tend to remember things related to ourselves better, things that benefit us, things that interest us. For example, our birthdays, our passwords, phone numbers, right? Things that don't really matter, we tend to forget easily. And that's just how we work, right? Our brains are only hardwired to remember important information. And what's important to us? Ourselves, obviously. And it might be difficult to think about your aim for reading a book. For example, if you just finished an old book and you are just at a bookstore browsing for a new book to read, it's like you can't really decide on the spot what is it you're actually looking for. So one way to do it would be to pick out a book and to look at the table of contents. What I like to do is I like to take it as a quiz. So I would first look at the topics at hand at the table of contents, and kind of predict what will be written in that chapter. For example, I'm reading this book about the psychology of men and women. Yeah, so I would see a topic that says the technique on how to. I'm just translating it from Japanese, so it's kind of like a rough translation. So it says techniques on how to make your insides as well as your outsides shine for girls who want to be more popular, right? So I would try to imagine what would be written in that chapter. I kind of guessed it would be talking about stuff like you need to be kind, you need to be considerate of other people's feelings, you need to have empathy for the guy you're dating, that blah, blah, blah. So when I finally read that chapter, it's like I am making my own quiz and trying to find the answers myself. So when I'm reading, my brain would be thinking like, I see, so it's this, not what I was thinking. Yeah, so I actually read the chapter already, and the simple answer was a smile. That's how you get more attention from guys, just as long as you have a good smile, apparently. So that's one example. And yeah, you tend to automatically remember that information better because it's like you're having a conversation in your own head, The second part is for while you're reading the book. Sometimes when you come across something interesting that you want to remember, it's still kind of hard, no matter how interesting it is, right? You'll be like, oh, this is interesting, and that's probably about it. And that's because we're just simply not trained to remember things that we ourselves have not personally or physically experienced. And even though we might have felt something while reading the book, and at the end of the day, it's just a feeling, right? It's not something that we can form a memory of. So what I like to do is I like to try and summarize the contents of the chapter or the sentence or the paragraph myself if I actually felt something from it. That's one way of trying to artificially create a memory from that. I would try to form my own impression of the material using my own words, right? Like simple words. so that when I try to recall the next time, it'll be easier for me to access that information. It kind of helps me understand why I felt that way in the first place. When you do this, your brain will kind of remember it better because you're actually actively trying to solve your feelings. Simply put, when you do come across something that you really feel like you need to remember, take a moment, take out a pen or paper, or just take out your phone and start thinking about it. Thinking about why you felt that way and how it could be applied to a certain area of your life to make it better. And the aim is not to finish the book, right? The aim is for you to gather information from the book. You have to remember that. Moving on, the last part is for the after reading part. So after you read a book, you can try and recall the surrounding contents of what you actually noted down in the first place. So what I like to do is I like to, again, use a quiz format and try and think back to what else was actually elaborated when I wrote that information down. The thing is, humans, we tend to remember things not just by input. It's mostly by both input and output. Because the effort itself, like the output of trying to recall a certain information, will kind of hack your brain to save that information, right? Well, kind of like how if you want to memorize lyrics to a song, you kind of have to listen to it over and over and over again. But that's not all, right? You've got to practice, which is the output. You've got to actually sing to it, like sing along to it, in order to make it stick. And yeah, I guess you can think of our brains like a Word document on Microsoft, where you need the effort, the output, in the form of, you gotta click on file, you gotta click on save as, you gotta type in the name of the file, and then you gotta click save, right, to save the document into the computer, right? It's not just typing stuff on the computer that makes it save. You gotta do all these little efforts called outputs in order to really make the information stick into the computer. Which is why the best way is to make your own quiz, right, and answer them. So it's kind of like you have the input, which is the reading part, and you have the output, which is the effort of trying to recall that information when you're answering your own quiz. Or if you're unlike me and you have actual friends to talk to, or you can try recommending the book to friends or family. Because, they will surely ask you, oh, so what's it about, when you recommend the book to them. And then you can use this opportunity as an output to try and convey the information to them, So it's like you're recalling the information and also summarizing it in your own head. Input and output, right? And also sometimes when we get that frustrated feeling when we're trying to recall something, we tend to like fret over it, like, oh my god, like what is it again? And we tend to squeeze our brains dry doing it. But I have to tell you, that's probably a good thing. It's because that feeling of regret when you're fretting over something and when you eventually give in to that frustration and you find out the answer, that feeling of regret actually helps you remember the information better. So the next time it happens, the next time when you're trying to recall something and you're just having such a hard time doing it, try to be in that state for, I would say, 5 minutes. And when you do get the answer, you'll be like, oh, god damn it, I knew it, I knew it was Bieber who sang this song. That usually also helps the information stick better into your head. So yeah, 3 simple steps on how to read a book effectively. And I would say reading is a good habit to have, I feel. So hope this helps. And hope you find reading more enjoyable after this. That's it for today. See you in the next video. And thanks for watching again. Ciao.